I got absolutely smoked with my PLTR short. What's going on, guys? It's Ricky with Technical Solutions, and like I shared in today's earlier video, I had a setup for a short. I ended up losing 3.8K on PLTI shorting today. Closed it out. Now we're prepping for the next big move, and that's going to be Nvidia. Nvidia is set to report earnings tomorrow, Wednesday, November 20th, after the market closes. And here's everything that you need to know about it. First, I do plan to live stream it for free on our YouTube channel. And if you want to tune on in, all you literally have to do is subscribe. With that being said, Nvidia had an amazing recovery. It hit lows of 137, and that was, if I'm not mistaken, yesterday, where then it began to indicate signs of recovery today and literally just leading the market. So the entire market, or NASDAQ market, went from being pretty significant in the red to now in the green, and it was all because, I don't want to say all because, but heavily influenced by Nvidia. Nvidia currently sits at a market cap of 3.61 trillion. This is going to be very interesting to follow up with tomorrow, 24 hours from now, because it could be very different. We could be adding an additional 5 or 10%, or possibly losing 5 or 10% on the downside. Now, the thing that I quickly want to point out on the technical side before we get to earning expectation is that we have had a common resistance of right around 150 per share for Nvidia. That is a previous resistance range. And again, patterns tend to repeat themselves. They don't always have to. Obviously, if it exceeds expectation and guidance for this up and coming earnings report, it can blow right through that 150 resistance and continue to go higher. All I say is take downside risk into consideration as well. If you look at this on the data chart, yeah, there's probably 5, 10% of potential upside, but I just want to remind you, what's the profit potential versus risk potential, right? There's definitely a lot of downside on Nvidia if markets do begin to turn down. Doesn't mean that they have to. It just means it's a conversation you must have with yourself and how you plan to mitigate risk if the market does begin to reverse. With that being said, let's jump right into it. Nvidia is set to report earnings tomorrow, and based off of market's expectation, we can pull it on right on over here. So it looks like the overall, man, am I not able to pull it up? So the last report was August 28th. And let's see, we got November 19th, or it's going to be for November 20th, if I'm not mistaken, that is set to report earnings. And then that has an expectation of earnings per share of 74 cents per share and estimated revenue to be right around $33 billion. You could see how far back we can go. What is that? 2023. It hasn't missed an earnings until, what is that? Oh, I guess 2 years ago. 2 years. That looks like it was Q3 of 2022. 2 years. Is this going to be the first red earnings, or are we just going to stack to the massive uptick, right? Look at this. Quarter after quarter after quarter, not only exceeding expectation when it comes down to revenue, but also earnings per share. And it's only been getting better. The only thing that I quickly want to bring up is the issue that has been talked about that is concerning some investors. I just want to make sure that if they start talking about it in tomorrow's, earnings call, you know what they're talking about. So supposedly there's this Blackwell AI chip, and please feel free to share your thoughts down in the comment section. Holy ad. But Nvidia has a Blackwell AI chip that is overheating, and this has been a concern for some investors. Supposedly, all they've had to do is redesign the racks due to and needing to overcome the heating problem. So for those that do not know, that is essentially why Nvidia began to see some form of downturn earlier this week. And it was due to that news that Nvidia was experiencing some issues with their new AI chips, right? So it says issues overheating in its next generation Blackwell processor when installed in high capacity server racks. And again, it's been several times to overcome this heating problem. Word of the repeated design changes have sparked concerns among customers about potential delays in installing the new AI chips in Center Technologies, the report said. So we'll see what they actually have to say. Is it something that was blown out of proportion, or is it something that they actually have to take time to redesign? So it's just going to be really interesting. And I just want to remind you two things, right? There's the earnings per share and the revenue. That is the report. That is simply covering what Nvidia has earned for Q3 of 2024. The big focus also is going to be guidance. What is to come for Q4 of 2024? Are things looking good? And what do things look like in 2025? This is huge because, again, the stock market is a leading indicator. It likes to get ahead of itself. Right now, Nvidia is trading at a $3.6 trillion market cap, not because it's worth that today, but because that is where investors believe it's going to be. And that is the thing, is that if things begin to change, this is the part that a lot of beginners don't fully understand, is that if forecast based off of what's to come or how quick it's going to happen begins to change, then again, the price will most likely drop because that was not something that was factored in. And this is why we say it so many times. The stock market often gets ahead of itself. It's not something that should scare you. It's just something that you should be aware because again, if they announce something that we are not already aware of that is very good, then of course it will factor that in instantly, causing the stock price to go up. But if it shares something that we were not aware of that can instill fear in investors, then again, expect a potential downturn. Not because things are necessarily now terrible for this company, but it was not something that was factored in and will have a negative impact on the potential value of that given stock. So again, I hope to see you for tomorrow's live session. That's going to be after the market closes. But if you even want to tune on in sooner, I trade live every single morning. And just like you saw today, you get to see all of my good trades and all of my bad trades. If you want to tune on in, it's great for beginners and designed for complete beginners. And you can join for as little as $1 a day. It's the second link in the description down below. You don't have to join, but if you want to be able to watch me trade live every day, I only offer one thing, and that's the LPP group. I appreciate your time. Hope that earned a thumbs up. And like always, let's make sure that we end the year on a green note. Take care, team.